Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be walking you through the algorithm changes to version 6.0 of the tier list. I'm just going to walk you through the thought process. The main selling point of this iteration of the tier list is adding the Hydra in there to the algorithm. The previous one for version 5.0 you can see was adding the Doom Tower, and then this one you can see the Hydra gets plugged in there. And it is going to be quite the process, and it's never going to be perfect. It's going to get more and more accurate over the course of time, but I'm just going to walk you through the thought process in what goes into calculating the overall champion value, and then how that goes onto the spreadsheet and how that goes onto the website, and just give you a behind the scenes look on version 6.0. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, you can always find the fancy laid out version of this on choflyelite.com, and it's linked down below in all the videos. If it doesn't pull up right away when you go to the home page, you just go up to the top, Raid Shadow Legends tier list, and then boom, you are right here on this page. You got all sorts of sorting options. You could pick different affinities and whatnot, and all the different things you want to sort by on the champions. So this is what ends up being populated from the spreadsheet. I do have a master sheet that is integrated with the website, and then it lays it out on here a little bit more fancy. And this is what it looks like on the actual sheet where the data is put in before it populates over to the website. And just really quickly, if you're new to the channel or something, it works on a 1 to 10 scale, but I do reserve 11s and 12s for meta and super meta scores, because what I found out when Raid got into the 500-600 champions, what I found out was I didn't want 68 champions rated as a 10 in the arena. I wanted something to be able to differentiate, Duchess from champions that are just good in the arena, like a Skull Crown. It felt weird having both Duchess and Skull Crown being a 10 in the arena. It's like, well, they're both good. You don't want to bump Skull Crown down to a 7. So I started making the meta and super meta scores of 11 and 12. So that's kind of the scale of it, and it'll kind of work down from there. 11 and 12 are the best champs in the game in that area, and then 9 and 10 are solid, and then 7 and 8 are viable for mid game. And then once you get down to like 5, 6, and 4 and below, those are champions you probably wouldn't want to use in that area. So how it ends up working after you get all of the data plugged in and stuff is there's an algorithm that weights different areas of the game. Different things are worth a lot more. Like the clan boss is going to be worth a lot more than the arcane keep, because it'd be kind of weird if everything was just weighted the same, and it wouldn't accurately represent a champion that's really good in certain areas should be valued more powerful for an account. So what it ends up doing is having this overall score be an articulation of that algorithm to weight the champions. Hey, this champion's really good in arena and clan boss. This champion's only really good in Arcane Keep and Minotaur. Obviously, the champion that's Arena and Clan Boss would be weighted a lot higher and have a higher overall score. So it's not going to be a perfect representation of maybe how the player base values champions, because there's a lot that goes into everything in terms of different special exceptions in everybody's account. So the champions that are going to rate really good on this are going to be champions that might not necessarily be #1 plat arena, but are going to be champions that are super generally useful. So you'll see champions maybe like a Venus that scores out really high, because Venus, she might not be used in Platinum Arena and she might not be the best end game champion, but she's just so generally useful with the poisons and the HP burn and the 3-turn defense break and weaken and being void affinity. She's just so generally useful that she ends up grading out pretty well in a context like this with an algorithm that prioritizes being good in many different areas. So that's just something to keep in mind, because something like this is never going to be perfect or scientific. It's more of a resource and a starting point and entertainment, hopefully to give some of those early game players maybe a general sense of some of the best champions in the game. But obviously, everyone's going to have disagreements when it comes to a list like this. But now let's go ahead and pull up the actual algorithm, and I'll give you a behind the scenes look at the thought process here. So yeah, like I said, 1.0 and 2.0, they would just list the legendaries from like 1 all the way down to back then, I want to say it was like 80 or 90. Back in those first couple versions of the tier list, we're up at like 140 legendaries now or something. But back then, I would just rate them like 1 through 80 on these first 1.0 and 2.0. And then with 3.0 is where I actually made the algorithm to do the overall calculation. And you can see there the different values and how it broke down originally, and then how it scales over to now, where I've got the book value of 13, clan boss of 16. Clan boss is one of the most valuable areas in the game to get consistent rewards. But we've seen, you can see like, you know, we went from 20 to 18 to 16. That's not necessarily because the clan boss got worse. It's just we've added Doom Tower and Hydra, so there's a lot less points to go around in terms of rounding out to that 100% for the full representation. And I've had to do things like Force Keep, remove a point, Minotaur, I've removed a couple, Fire Knight has gone down a little bit as we get more and more options to break shield. Like back in the day, back here on 3.0, there was a lot less options to do well in the Fire Knight, and getting custom AI really helped a lot, because your Cold Heart and your Allure and stuff like that can really lock out certain abilities and do certain things. So the Fire Knight going from 9 to 6 kind of makes sense when you think about A, more champions being added to the pool that maybe bring some special mechanics to deal with the Fire Knight, and B, with the adding of custom AI and preset teams. But the main thing that I had to do for this iteration was add the Hydra to the calculation. Now, obviously, everyone's going to have wildly different opinions on how this should be weighted on an algorithm. I thought 10 was a good starting point. It's not like 20 or something where it's more important than the arena or the clan boss, but it is going to be weighted, you know, pretty close to the Doom Tower, kind of one of those special areas of the game where it's nice to be good at, and you do get some pretty solid rewards, some of that really good gear, and some good champions for fragments that you can acquire there and kind of help your team take down tougher content. I think teams might be a little bit more likely to do well in the clan boss and be able to handle that without your help. So I wanted to have the Hydra at this first starting point, maybe a little bit more important than the Doom Tower, but not like the most important area of the game, because first of all, not even everybody does the Hydra. And other than that, we bumped Faction Wars down a little bit over the course of time. They actually nerfed Faction Wars, like around in here. They nerfed Faction Wars and made it a little bit easier. They may have even nerfed it twice. I think back in the day, I had it as like a 7. But that first version, I don't think there was like glyphs and Lydia Death Siren yet. And then when they added, maybe there was always glyphs in Faction Wars. Yeah, there probably was. Sorry, I've been covering this game for like 3.5 years now. So all the patches kind of blend in. I think there was glyphs when they first initially released Faction Wars. The thing that they added was Lydia. And then after they added Lydia, I took Faction Wars from 7 to 12, because obviously people were focused on it a lot harder than they were before. And then over time, it's kind of slowly bumped down as we get more and more champions in the game and more ways to kind of tackle Faction Wars. We make room for other areas that are new, like Doom Tower and Hydra. I also lowered the clan boss just a little bit because we keep getting more and more options added to the game. Ninja, Demetha, and super smart people like Deadwood Jedi are constantly figuring out new ways to cheese the clan boss and make more different compositions work. So over time, that's slowly gotten a little bit more realistic. Book value, books are always as expensive and ridiculous as they ever have been. So kind of stays the same there and doesn't move too much. But other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like you know, I can't really think of anything super special to go over. You know, for dungeons, obviously Spider and Fire Knight are going to end up being the primary ones that are important to weight on a tier list, because those are 2 of the most grinded dungeons that people are going to be prioritizing to get some of that good Savage gear, Shield gear, Immunity gear, and then also get the good accessories, the banners that have your double and triple rolls of speed and stuff. So Spider and Fire Knight not only are some of the toughest content for those mid-game accounts to progress through, but also some of the most valuable content in the end game. And even though the Ice Golem might be the least value here, it is one of the tougher ones to go ahead and be consistent in. So you see the Ice Golem having points, whereas the Minotaur does not. And then your potion keeps, the Void Keep and the Force Keep are pretty straightforward, along with the Arcane. The reason that the Spirit and the Magic Keep have points associated to them when the others don't is because they actually have special mechanics where you have to kind of like remove shields or remove buffs, block buffs, place healing reduction if you can't nuke it down in time. So they've got a little bit more special mechanics to them, and you can't just kind of blast through them. And then after you have all of those areas weighted and you get all the data plugged in, and you do your best to rank it's quite the challenge, but you do your best to talk with people on stream and rate these champions in these different areas, you come up with something like this that gets spit out. And like if I were just flat out rating these champions from like best to worst, you may see things like maybe Venus and Chogger go down to the next row. Maybe even Ursaga, she's kind of seems to be going down in value the last year or so. And then up to the top row, you might get someone like Tuaneric, Cardial, he's awesome. Leorius, maybe he's super common in the arena. Maybe Tatura with super utility for Hydra in different areas that you're trying to tackle, and maybe even Wither coming up here. So you might get a little bit of shifting if you went by like the different rows, like if this was row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and you kind of slowly worked your way down. I may do, like if I were manually ranking them, I may move some things around, but that's how the algorithm lists it out and kind of just places it without me having my biased opinion of just ranking the champions from best to worst. But yeah, just wanted to kind of walk you through the thought process, and feel free to let me know what you think. Do you think the algorithm is close, or do you think it's off? Do you think something should be changed? I'm always willing to make changes. I probably work on this thing on average like 5 to 10 hours a week. There's some weeks where it's like 10 or 12 hours. There's some weeks where it's like 3 or 4, and it's like a part-time job to keep up with this list with how often Raid is doing fusions and doing events and adding rares and adding new champions, new Doom Tower champions. They seem like they're adding 50 a month, so it really gets hard. You don't pay attention for a few days, and poof, you've got a bunch of champions to get rated and add in there. And it's tough when you have to rate them on so many different areas of the game and kind of keep it in line with the value and how it correlates to everything else. It ends up being a super time-consuming project, but it's a lot of fun to see it end up being laid out in something like this that really comes to life. And also, by the way, you can click on these. You can click on like Ramantu and it will actually pull them up. And if I've done a video on them, it will have that there as well. So yeah, it's kind of laid out and sorted in terms of the overall value that it kind of pulls and grabs from the tier list. So that is going to do it for me on this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.